Hello guys, how are you doing? So if you haven't watched them, I've been doing some vlog style videos during December, sort of vlogmas, and it's just me doing my Ravensburger puzzle advent that I talked about in my latest podcast episode, and opening my yarn advent and doing some knitting, doing some, baking, taking a walk, anything that I get up to that I feel like might be fun to watch and to know about. And mostly just so I can look back on it and see what I did December 2025, So yesterday, after I'd finished filming a little clip for my Vlogmas video, I stayed up knitting a bit longer than I was planning on. And so one of my whips today, I have made quite a lot of progress on since yesterday and since the last podcast episode. And yeah, I think today we've got 2 finished objects to talk about. We have a boatload of whips and some acquisitions. Now, don't get mad at me for buying more yarn. Most of it is the yarn advent that I talked about in my previous video and that I have been opening in my Vlogmas episodes. So the yarn that I've actually bought since last episode were purchased quite a while ago, and they just arrived after I'd filmed my latest podcast episode. So I've got my tea in this good job mug that my dad's family got for me. Oh my god. All right, so let's just start with what I'm wearing. So the jumper that I'm wearing today is the Amedeo summer sweater by Colibri by Johanna. I think her name is Johanna Gehrisch. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And it is just a light summer jumper with a raglan construction, and then on the sleeves it has this really cool lace effect with decreases in these lines that sort of look like arrows, and it's just so cool. So it starts right at the very beginning and goes all the way down the sleeves to the cuff, and I love the way that this looks, and I loved working this up. However, I'm not 100% happy with the fit, and I think that is because I should have made a different size, like sort of made the neckline a bit tighter, because I'm not really in love with this like round neckline, combined with the fact that it doesn't really have a lot of positive ease around my bust. I mean, it has positive ease in the sides, but it sort of looks a bit weird around my armpits and such. So I'm not like super happy about the fit, but I think if I made this again, I would know how to fix that. And one thing that I would change is I would use a different yarn. The yarn that I used for this is from Lang Yarns. It is Vaya in the colour, I don't know what part of that number is the actual colourway, but it says 1135.0026. So I'm guessing that 26 is the colour. And it is 200 meters per 50 grams. It is 74% cotton, 16% extra fine merino, and 10% yak. And this yarn is lovely. This is all I have left. The swatch and a very small amount. So I couldn't really have gone up a size because I wouldn't have had enough yarn. I originally bought this yarn for a different project, but then I changed my mind. And I just thought that it would be fine, and it wasn't, because this is not the type of jumper that I want tight fitting. It's just not the style. So I love this yarn, but I don't think it's right for this project. And 2, I should have made a different size. So I enjoy wearing this, but I don't feel comfortable doing it sort of to work or something like that, because I do feel a bit uncomfortable. So you might see I'm kind of pulling on it a lot and like fiddling with it because I'm not super happy about the way that it fits. And that also sort of makes it feel weird because I'm like naked up here, but then it's very tight around my bust and around sort of my hip area. But then it's also not roomy enough up here by the shoulders. So I would need to sort of adjust the neckline a bit, maybe make the ribbing a bit longer, or just change the construction. I think a V-neck would be much nicer with this design actually, because that would sort of mimic the design on the sleeves. So I do think that I want to remake this at some point, and the fact that it didn't turn out well is 100% my fault because I didn't really know what I was doing. This was one of my earlier knits. I don't know if I'm going to keep this, if I'm going to give it away, or if I'm actually going to frog it and then use the yarn to do like a basic t-shirt or something. I've been thinking of maybe trying to knit like a toasted tee by the Vaya in this. I think that would be really nice because this is 100% next to skin soft. It is not itchy, it's very soft, it's not too warm because it is almost 3/4 cotton. And then the yak is just so soft, and there's this very, very slight fuzz to it. There's just a little bit of halo going on, and it just gives this sort of like very soft, magical, ethereal look to it. I love it. So I might actually do that if I ever have the heart to rip back this whole thing, because it did take quite a while to knit. So let me know what you think about that, and if you have any other ideas for how I could use this yarn for a different pattern. But yeah, I don't think there's much else to say about this one. So let me put that to the side. And actually, okay, there we go. I just had to go brush my hair once I took my claw clip out because it was not behaving. Okay, so that was it for what I'm wearing today. Now let's talk about my finished objects. So the first finished object that I have to show you was a whip in my previous podcast episode, and I have been wearing them in my Vlogmas videos. So if you watch those, you've already seen these. But these are my felted slippers. Ah! They're so cute! So these are the double felted slippers by Sandnes Garn. I think they're called double slippers number 3 on their website, but they are just the double felted slippers. They are made in some sort of mystery yarn, I'm not sure. So anyway, I knit these much bigger than this. They were huge. I showed them in my last episode, I believe. And then I seamed the cast on edge together, and then I threw them in the washer and the dryer. And I had to run them through a few times, and I do still find that they are slightly too big. So I think I might run them through just one more time. As I wear them, they've sort of gotten slightly too big again. So actually I can put it on. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, I am also wearing my own socks. I'll put one of them on so that you can see. They're so cute. I do wish that they were slightly higher up on my leg, but I don't know if you can see, but like I can easily fit like 2 fingers like that between my heel and the heel of the slipper. So if I pull them all the way up, my toes are here and there's still quite a lot of squish here. So they're not super like firm on my feet. So if I wear socks inside of them, it's fine. But when I'm only wearing the slippers, they do have a tendency to sort of slip around, I guess. But yeah, so I might just run them once more. But there is still some felting that can occur. And actually, I've already noticed it felting a bit more on the insides where I've walked on them. So I do think that I might be able to felt them just slightly more so that they're a little bit smaller, and I'll have to sort of keep an eye on them in the dryer so that they don't end up too small. So that was it for my first finished object this episode, the double felted slippers by Sandnes. Now, for my second and final finished object. Now, if you are my best friend, stop watching, okay? Stop watching now. I will put a timestamp on when it's safe for you to come back to the video. I haven't woven the ends in, but I have blocked it. So these are the brainless socks by Johanna. They are a free pattern on Ravelry. They are toe up and it's stockinette along the foot and the instep, but along the side is this cable motif. Now, I am aware that this is a variegated yarn, so you can't see the braid super well, but the cable design is there, and I think it looks really nice. And then on the gusset part, you are supposed to just do like knits and purls along the edges and then purls on the inside. But I chose to do the cable stitches as well on either side of the gusset increases because I wanted the cables to continue. So I did modify the pattern a bit by doing that. And then the cable also continues in a braid up the leg. Now for the leg, the pattern has you do a half twisted 2x1 rib. So you knit 2 stitches through the back loop and then you purl 1 as normal. But I wasn't a huge fan of how that looked together with the stockinette instep and stockinette sole. So I just did stockinette for the rest of the leg. That is not the side braids. And they are both on the outside and on the inside of the sock. And then for the cuff, I did an extra long cuff. This is, I think, double as many rows as what the pattern says. So it does look a bit weird, but I think that's because it's not on a foot. But maybe if I do this, I can sort of show you how it looks. So here, you can still see the texture, and I think it gives sort of a cool effect. But yeah, so you do gusset increases, and then you do a heel turn and a heel flap. But it's all done sort of in one piece, so you don't have to pick up stitches. Because when you knit socks top down, from the cuff down, you have to pick up stitches after you've done the heel flap to then form the gusset and the heel turn and then connect to the instep. But like this, when you do the heel flap and gusset from the toes and up, you don't have to do that because of the way that you construct these gusset increases. So that was very nice, but it was fiddly, and because I haven't done toe up socks before, it was quite difficult to wrap my head around what I was supposed to be doing. And I will say the pattern is fun, but it's not brainless, as the pattern name implies. It is very difficult to follow along the pattern because it's quite an old pattern, so it's very involved. You have to sort of keep your focus and understand the way that socks are constructed. So I wouldn't recommend this pattern for a beginner sock knitter because they are definitely not brainless. However, they are fun, they work, you just have to sort of be on your toes, as it were. Oh yeah, these are for my best friend. He is going to receive them as a Christmas gift. Now, he's not the biggest fan of superwash yarns, which I understand, but I'd already made plans for these. And then we talked about superwash and he was like, I don't really like superwash because of the processing involved. So sorry about that. You're just gonna have to live with it. At least these will be machine washable. So that's that. So anyway, the brainless socks by Johanna, and the yarn that I used for this is Ari Yarns, which I purchased at a Christmas market that I told you about in my previous podcast episode. It is high twist sock, extra fine merino, and then 15% nylon. It is just a fingering sock yarn, 360 meters per 100 grams. And this colorway is called Forest Spell. Now, in this little project bag, I have the leftover. So I was worried that I would run out of yarn, but turns out I had nothing to worry about because I still have quite a lot left. I haven't weighed this, but this can definitely be something in the future. So this is what the yarn looks like. And it's got this beautiful mixture of greens and browns and some beige, a little bit of dark spots. And it's so much fun to knit with because all the time you just keep getting to like a new color because it is very short repeats. It's very highly variegated. So as you can see, if I splay out the sock, you can see that it changes quite rapidly, but you're not really getting any spiraling or huge amount of pooling or anything. So anyway, that was all I wanted to say about these socks. I'm very excited to give them to my best friend, and I hope that he likes them. I hope they fit. I hope that he can forgive me for making him socks with superwash yarns. And yeah, I'll probably make this pattern again at some point when I want some more complicated socks. So that was it for the finished objects for this episode. Now let's move on to my whips. The first whip that I want to talk about is just a short little fix. So before I learned how to knit, I was a crocheter. And years and years and years ago, I crocheted a beanie hat for my big brother. And he loves it. He's worn it every single winter ever since then. And it was probably like 10 years ago or something. So maybe more even. And it's held up really well. I believe it's a wool acrylic blend. Maybe I'll just show you. It's had a bit of a beating. I didn't really know how to make beanies back then. So this is what the hat looks like. It's very cute. It's not long enough to fold up, so he just wears it like this. And there's this Pom Pom that I made from some acrylic rainbow yarn. And this is the issue. So I obviously didn't know how to close it up properly. And I also didn't know how to attach the Pom Pom properly. So it's been like this for probably about a year or two. And the other day when he was here visiting me, I just said, you're leaving that hat right here until I fix it for you. Because I've been saying for like 2 years, I need to fix that for you. And he's like, yeah, sure. And then we just keep forgetting. So I stole it from him and I'm going to mend it and then give it back to him on Christmas. So that is my first whip, I guess. It's a mending project. Yeah, nothing else to say about this really, except, I've gotten better. Thank God for that. Let's move on from that because we do not need to look at that any longer. My next whip is in this little project bag, very cute. This is my on-the-go project. It goes with me wherever I go. And I have worked on it quite a lot since the last episode. So this is the Musselburgh hat by Ysolda Teague. And as you can see, I have gotten quite far. It is now about halfway done. So if I put it on, you'll understand what I mean. This is going to look really funny. So if I put it on like that, you can see that if I pull it all the way down and fold it, this is sort of how it's going to fit once it's done. But it's going to be double layer. So I'm now going to continue knitting, stocking it in the round until I get back to here where I stop doing the increases. And I'm going to instead do decreases for the crown. So I'm about halfway, I would say. And I'm not anticipating this being done anytime soon because it's very thin yarn and 2.5mm needles. So it's taking a long time to do just a single round. So I'm just gonna work on this when I'm out and about, and it will be finished when it's finished. Maybe I won't wear it until next winter, and that's okay. I don't wear a lot of hats anyway because I don't like how tight they are around my head. So I'm just gonna let it take the time that it takes. Anyway, this is all I have left of the first skein of yarn. I do have another one, so I think 2 skeins of yarn will just about cover it with a little bit of leftovers. So this yarn is Alpaca Silk by Sandnes Garn, and I don't remember the colour, but it's this sort of minty blue, I want to say. It's like a very light minty blue, and it's extremely soft. I really love this yarn, and this is the first time I'm using it, so I can see myself using this yarn for something else in the future as well. For now, not much else to say about this. The Musselburgh hat by Ysolda Teague. Put that back in its project bag. That can go back in my tote bag. Now for my next whip. It's in this project bag that I also got at that Christmas market. Actually, all of the project bags were purchased at that Christmas market, but so it's on sort of a short cable, so it's going to look a bit bunched up, but this is my work in progress of the Cloud Sweater by PetiteKnit. Oh, it's so long now. So I have just about managed to get 10 centimeters down on the underarm part, maybe 15. So I split for the sleeves in the last episode, and that was the last time you saw this. So that was here where this stitch marker is. And since then I've knit this much. So this is just stocking it in the round now for the body. It's literally just mindless. I don't have to even look at what I'm doing. And I joined a new ball of yarn here where the stitch marker is, because I do want to start keeping track of how many rounds can I get in on the body from one ball of yarn, so that I can calculate how long should I make the body so that I still have enough for the sleeves. I think I'll have enough because I did buy quite a lot of these, but you never know. You never know. So yeah, this is what it's looking like. It's very soft. It's extremely squishy, and I already know that this is going to be very, very warm. So this is going to be sort of early mornings when I want to pull something on right as I get out of bed, but I don't really want to get dressed. Then this is going to be worn. And also like when I feel like I just want to wear a hug outside of my house, that's when I'm going to wear this. So it's coming along nicely. I'm anticipating it being done in the next month or so, because I'm not working on it all the time. I'm just doing it sort of, in bed before I go to sleep, and maybe, if I just want to be lazy and lay on the sofa and knit and watch something on YouTube and not really think about it, So it is coming along, but I'm not working on it as a dedicated effort every day. So I'm just going to let it take the time that it takes. But it is very gratifying to pick this up and just knit, because it progresses very quickly. Now the yarn that I'm using for this, I don't have the ball band with me right here. This is Softest Alpaca by Rowan, and it is a blown yarn. It is alpaca and polyamide, I believe. I can't remember the exact proportions, but I'll put it in the little infographic on the side. And this is the color 19, I think. And I think it's called Bliss. And it's this baby blue, sky blue sort of color, and it is so lovely. So not much else to talk about this one at the moment. I'm just slugging along on it, and it'll be done when it's done. So, Cloud Sweater by PetiteKnit. Put that back. There we go. All right. The next work in progress is in this project bag. I love this project bag so much. It's so cute. Now this sweater whip I can't put on a hanger because it's bottom up, and I actually have not worked all that much on this since the last episode, so let me just show you. This is the Ginger Zip by Joan Ho, or Joanne Ho. And it's this lovely bottom up quarter zip cabled jumper with a 2x2 rib all along the sides, and then both in the middle and in the middle of the back, there's this really interesting cable pattern. Definitely not picking up the color right. So this is a very deep, sort of almost purpley red in real life. And as you can see, and as I said, it's bottom up, so it's just about to my waist at the moment, if even that. And this is just gonna take a while, and it's gonna have to, because I do have to sort of keep looking at the chart to remember what cable pattern I'm supposed to do on each round. So it's very easy, it's just you have to keep in mind what you're doing so that you don't mess it up. But yeah, I'm loving this pattern. I'm loving the way that this looks, and I think it will look even better once it's blocked. And this fabric obviously feels amazing. If you watched my other episodes, you know why. This is my favorite yarn. I'll talk about it in a minute. And I can't wait to wear this. I really wanted it to be done for December so that I could wear it sort of over the Christmas season, but that's just not reasonable. This is taking too long, and you know, I'm doing some gift knitting and stuff, so I'm giving myself grace and allowing myself to sort of knit on this as a selfish knit when I want to knit something really special for myself. And this is just going to be done when it's done, and I'm sure I'm going to use it in the spring, and then by the time next autumn comes along, I'm going to be wearing this probably every other day, and the rest of the time I'm going to be wearing my care sweater, which I've shown off in previous videos, which is actually in the same yarn. So the Ginger Zip by Joan Ho, and here's my row counter that I showed off in my last episode as well. I made it myself using friendship bracelet beads. It's just to help me keep track of what round I'm on. So the yarn that I'm using for this, I actually have an unused ball here. This is Tweed Recycled by Sandnes Garn, and the colour is really not showing up. I'll try to edit the video so that you can see the colour, but I will also put a picture on the side so that you can see what the colour really looks like, because this is so much more vibrant and deep red. On the camera it's looking more sort of brown, which I also love, but it is really that sort of deep burgundy wine red with almost purpley tones to it, and I guess that's sort of the tweedy bits doing that. But anyway, this is my favourite yarn at the moment, and it is discontinued, which is very sad. So, hang on, I have I thought I had. So here I have another label from the last wall band. This yarn, Tweed Recycled, is 80% extra fine wool and 20% cashmere. It is 175 meters per 50 grams, and this is the color 4085. And I love this yarn and I love this color. So as I mentioned, I have another jumper that I knit using this yarn in different colors, the Care Sweater by the Vaya, in a forest green and sort of a beigey grey color. And this yarn is just so lovely and it wears really well. It's not itchy at all. It's very soft and it's 100% recycled fibers. So I can really recommend this, and I will probably buy some more of this next year before it's sold out because I love it so much. And actually, I think that this yarn would be perfect to make the Amedeo summer sweater. Then it wouldn't really be summery because this is wool and cashmere, but I think that would make it a really good transition piece for spring and autumn. So I might purchase this yarn, Tweed recycled, in a different colour for the Amedeo summer sweater and knit this again using that. But we'll see, we'll see. For now, that's enough yapping about Tweed recycled. And one more show of the Ginger Zip sweater by Johanna. I am so excited to have this finished and to be able to wear it. So let me put this in the project bag like so. Ta-da! And let's talk about my final whip. This is the one that I got caught up in last night and knit on for a few hours when I was supposed to go to bed because I was just so excited. So I've already shown this, and then I didn't have that much progress, but since then I have done quite a lot. This is my work in progress of the Kitten Catch Mittens by Florence Miller. Can you guys see this? Just look at these cute kitty cats. Oh, they're so cute. It's really cute motif of kitty cats, and then there's some flower motifs and such, and then on the palm part there's just this sort of geometric pattern, and then on the thumb gusset or thumb increases there's this really cool sort of staggered 1x1 color work. It's really cool. And then this is going to continue up the thumb with a little fish motif, so I'm very excited about that. I will get to that today, I think, because I have just started doing the decreases for the top of the hand. So it's going to be like a triangular top, one of those really like traditional Nordic knit colour work mittens. So I've just started doing the decreases. So I've got another few rounds to finish on this hand, and then I can pick up these stitches and knit the thumb with the little fish motif with the sardine that is the kitten's catch. And then I can start on the next one. And I'm really excited about that because, as you can see, there's this Latvian braid design on the cuff, and then the cuff itself is like corrugated rib colour work. And this Latvian braid was so much fun to do that I've just been like stopping myself from casting on the second one until I finish the first, because if I start the second one, I'm not going to want to finish this one. So right now it's really just about pushing through. So I'll put it on for you. So this is what it looks like on. And I was worried that it would be too big because I am using bigger needles and thicker yarn than the pattern says to use. But honestly, at this point, hang on, how many rounds do I have left? Yeah, I have about 10 to 15 rounds left right now, which is sort of the same height as a cat. So it's going to be like a little bit big, but not like ridiculously oversized. So I think that's going to be fine actually, because I don't like it when mittens are super tight anyways. So these are so cute. I love this. I love these colors that I chose. Thank you to my best friend for helping me pick the colors. And that leads me into the yarn. And these are undyed Swedish alpaca wool from Majsans Alpakka. And the alpacas are named Bianca, that's the white or the cream colour, and Bessie is the brown. And yeah, these are just so fun to work up. The chart is very easy to follow as long as you sort of keep track of what round you're on. And the rest of the pattern is easy to understand. Florence did a wonderful job with this, and it is a drawback that there's only one size, but I also understand that because of the involved colour work. So you could obviously just sort of fudge this into a different size, but what I did, because I had this yarn for it, was I just have slightly thicker yarn and slightly bigger needles, and that gives me a slightly bigger mitten. So if you wanted to make these either bigger or smaller, you could sort of do that by picking yarns and needles of sort of a different yarn weight and needle size than the pattern suggests. I really want to finish filming this so that I can get back to knitting and finish this, because this is where I left off yesterday, last night, and when I started yesterday I was about here. So all of this was last night when I said I was going to knit for like half an hour and then go to bed. So my plan is to have these finished by Christmas Eve so that I can wear them on our Christmas walk that we always do with my family every Christmas Eve. But yeah, we'll see about that. That might be too much to ask. We shall see. Right, let me put those back in the project bag. That was all of my whips. Now let's talk about acquisitions. So in this bag, I have the mini skein yarn advents that I have opened so far. These are from Pernillas Kreativa. She is a small Swedish hand dyer, and this mini calendar is for 20-gram mini skeins of alpaca sock yarn in lots of different colours, lots of different sort of some semi-solids, some variegated, and maybe I should show you them before I start talking about them. So in this bag is all of the yarns that I've opened so far. So here's the entire first week. As you can see, an eclectic blend. But I think that, you know, like this sort of works together, and then this darker one sort of works with the sort of sandy grey one, and the unicorn one sort of works with this one with the pinks and such, but the orange one is sort of out there at the moment. So this is week 1. Week 2. Again, a good mix of semi-solids and variegated, and also a mix of muted colours and very, very vibrant colours. So if I attempt to hold all of them up, oh, they're the wrong way. They're like that. This is the mini skein advent calendar so far by Pernillas Kreativa. Are quite a fun mix. There's some here that will fit nicely together and some that maybe won't. So I'm planning on making several projects with these and having these as accent skeins for different projects. Now I need to put them all back into their respective bags. So, the final acquisitions that I have to talk to you about. One of my local yarn stores called Broderie Garn in Gothenburg recently opened their web shop. So previously they'd only had a physical store, but now they have a web shop, which is so fun. And to sort of celebrate the grand opening of the web shop, they decided to have an opening deal. So if you bought any skein of yarn, any whatsoever, they would also send you a printed pattern for some fingerless mitts and the yarn needed to knit those mitts. in your color of choice. So obviously I had to support them, and the pattern is the Molly mitts. They're just these really simple fingerless mitts, and the yarn is the recommended yarn for this, and it is Esayer baby yarn in the color, does it say? In the color 10. It's this really nice blue, and this yarn is 68% baby alpaca and 32% organic cotton. If I can show you, it is a chain yarn, so it has a really cool structure to it. And it is 150 meters per 50 grams. I'm not sure if I'm gonna knit the Molly mitts with this or if I'm gonna use this for something else. But either way, I have it and I have that pattern, and I'll make it at some point probably. So this was the sort of freebie gift that you got. But in order to get that opening gift, you had to purchase a skein of yarn. And I just decided that, you know, if I'm going to pay shipping and stuff, I would rather get a more pricey yarn so that it feels worth it. So I caved and I finally bought myself some Lang Cashmere Premium. So this is the final acquisition I have, and it is Cashmere Premium by Lang Yarns in the colour 78.0115. And it's this really beautiful burnt orange colour. It is 115 meters per 25 grams, and it is 100% premium cashmere. It is so soft, it is gorgeous, and I have no idea what I'm going to do with this. I might make it into sort of a scarf or a hat. If I ever do a jumper with this sort of colour, I can use this cashmere for the inside of the collar, for example, so that it's really soft and not itchy. But I'm just going to sit on this until I have the perfect project for it. So really, I bought this so that I would get a much cheaper yarn for free. But really, I bought it to support my local yarn store. So if you want to support them as well in their new grand opening of their web shop, you can go visit their website and get something. I'm not sure if they ship internationally, but definitely within Sweden. So yes, Lang Yarns Premium Cashmere was my final acquisition for this episode. Now let's just shortly talk about some plans that I have. The main thing that I'm planning is to continue with my Vlogmas videos, so my winter vlog series, and I'm doing them 3 to 4 days grouped together, and I'm uploading every 3 to 4 days. And I'm planning on doing that for all of December, or at least until Christmas, and then maybe I'll do one video for the days in between Christmas and New Year's. Then my plans for the rest of the year and 2026 is that after Christmas, I want to film a stash inventory and organizing video, or maybe several videos where I go through all of my stash and I put it all in Ravelry and I organize it, and then I have it all sort of nicely organized so that I can then in January do a stash busting plan for 2026. And I think that will be easier to do once I have sort of control over all of the yarn that I have. And then I will upload the first proper stash busting video in January or February of 2026. And then also the normal podcast episodes twice a month, probably. So those are my plans. And as for all of my knitting plans at the moment, I have enough whips to keep me busy. So I'm not even thinking of casting anything on at the moment, except for if I cast on any last minute Christmas gifts or such. But if so, they will be finished objects by the next episode, so you'll see them then. And yeah, I don't really think I have anything else to talk about, except to thank you all so much for following me and subscribing and liking and commenting. A special thank you to Alina and Kathleen. You guys are always the first to comment, and you're all so nice. And I'm just so excited that I get to film this and geek out about yarn and knitting and such. So thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for liking and commenting and watching my videos. I have almost 100 subscribers now, which is insane, terrifying, absolutely terrifying. But most of you are family who probably do not watch my videos. So I'm telling myself that at least. But yeah, that was it for this episode. No proper feature of my cat this time. She's sitting right there, but you can't really see her. But she's been napping for most of this on my bed, so she's been busy. That's all I wanted to talk about. Please leave a comment. Please go watch my Vlogmas videos if you want. We do some cozy puzzling and some knitting, and I do some chats. I bring you along for baking and stuff. So yeah, it's cozy times. And I will see you in the next Vlogmas video, and then after that I'll see you in my next video after Christmas. So Merry Christmas everyone, or Happy Holidays, or Happy Week if you don't celebrate any of the winter holidays. So thank you for watching. I love you. Please subscribe, please like, please comment. It's free and it makes me super happy. Please talk to me in the comments. We can geek out about knitting and patterns and yarns together. So I'm going to have some dinner and feed my cat, and then I'm going to edit some Vlogmas video footage, and then I will finish the hand part of my first Kitten Catch Mitten. I'm so excited. Okay, anyway, I'm going to stop talking now, but I love you guys. Goodbye. So don't get mad at me. I am on a stash down, okay? And my tea's already getting cold, so I'd better just chug this now before I start filming properly. I'm looking a little washed out. My wall is looking a bit washed out because it is dark outside. So I have a big ass light behind you up there. So you're just gonna have to live with that. Please subscribe, please like, please comment, everything. Please stick around, let me know what you're knitting on, etc. I love you guys. Goodbye.